Welcome to the Aces Up Your Sleeve podcast. I'm Dr. Cade,
And I'm Sabrina.
and we're here today to talk about family mealtime. As we get closer to certain holidays, we thought it might be useful. As
Yeah.
a disclaimer, this is not therapy or therapeutic advice. It's just what we might do if we were in your position and our thoughts on those situations.
Yeah. This is such an interesting topic, and I think that like a lot of therapists around this time will be kind of providing a lot of their thoughts on it. But of course we wanted to do so as it pertains specifically to like autistic folks and relationships and with all of the nonsense happening. That like there can be a lot going on relationally here.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think we're going to cover maybe some of the politics of things too on the Upping the Ante bonus content. So stick around and check that out if you're interested in that side of things. November is usually when most of us are putting in some votes at like local levels, if not larger.
Yeah, actually
So,
we just our local ones for my partner and I were 2 weeks ago,
in
or we voted
October.
early, I should say. So we voted 2 weeks ago, but the local election was last week.
Gosh. Yeah. So we'll definitely touch on that in the bonus content. But today, for the main episode, we're going to cover kind of the logistics of family gatherings, as well as some of the conversation and what you can do. Starting off strong from like a sensory side of things. Our first question is, how do we navigate if we're vegan or vegetarian or gluten-free or have other specialized needs? For example, food can't touch, don't like to be watched while eating, misophonia, so it's very sensitive ears to the sounds. Any differences if it's our family versus a partner's family that we're with?
Yeah, let's break this down. Okay, so let's start with like food needs. I think we're gonna probably talk a lot about like self-advocacy here, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, and I my go-to is like, you know what? I will just try to rely on myself to make sure I have something. So as someone who is very entrenched in diet culture for a long time, if I was eating in a specific way, I would just prep stuff and bring it with, and make enough for others to share if they were into it. And I would let people know some of the dietary needs, but it's hard. Some families like get a rise out of specifically making things that you say you can't eat, almost as if they're testing if you really can't eat them. And it can get dangerous, especially if it's an allergy.
Yeah. I don't personally have any food allergies or restrictions. I actually love a lot of like holiday foods because they're super carby and happy and yummy, and I love meat. And so like it's I don't run into those issues particularly, but my partner has a lot of allergies and things like that, and um, so like I think a lot of times I have a very like, and also just because of how my family is, I have a very like immediately no, immediately no. Like you plan to put pecans everywhere, all over everything. Okay, well that's gonna kill my partner. So immediately no, I'm not going. Like we're not going. Either welcome us
Mhm.
in and you welcome us like in your actions, or I'm not like. Why the fuck would we show up to this?
Yeah, especially if they're knowing, okay, these are like life-threatening, dangerous, these are actual allergies, and still going, well, but we have to have our pecan pie or whatever it is. Like, can you wait till we're gone to like make that and eat that?
Exactly. And so like it's a very all or nothing kind of answer, and it definitely relates. Like I'm no contact with my adoptive mother, and so like I know that that definitely influences, and like having already set such a firm boundary there, it makes the rest of them a little bit more clear cut, I think, for me. Not necessarily easy, but it is an answer that I'm willing to come to a lot faster, I think, than a lot of folks. Is to just be like, if you are not willing to accommodate this, and I'm going to go spend this holiday that is about connection and family and relationships with people who will respect that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's definitely one route people can take. You know, if you know that the holidays, like mealtime, has been tough, consistently, maybe this year you make a different choice for yourself or yourself and your partner or your immediate family.
Mhm.
I know some of us get stuck in like tradition or routine with it, but if you're miserable when you go, or if your safety or your partner's safety is threatened or your kids, is it really worth it to uphold tradition and deal with all of that?
Exactly. Exactly. So that's definitely like usually where I start in terms of like obviously, if you're just navigating beginning that conversation, like the person doesn't know, or
Mm.
maybe you're doing a friendsgiving, or maybe something has changed since you last talked to the person, I'm a big fan of just like, hey, like super excited to be at your thing. Just wanted to let you know I have these particular restrictions. Like you said, like if you plan to bring your own stuff, like I plan to bring this, that, and the third. Or, do you mind having this, or what is the likelihood that this is something that would be on your menu, or even just asking for the menu before you share anything for yourself, right? Like,
Mhm.
hey, could I get a rundown of what all we plan to be having? That would just help me to plan better for myself.
Yeah, and I think sometimes too, if you see the menu or what they anticipate is going to be there ahead of time, you can also decide like, is it worth me bringing something extra, or should I just eat a little before I go, or eat a little when I get back? I know for a long time I stuck to kind of a vegetarian thing for sensory reasons, so a lot of the
Hmm.
meats I was like, I cannot do that. I just eat the other parts of the dishes, like I don't have to go for the meat.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it's a little bit up to you. And I think a lot of that can also have to do with like what relationship it is, right? Like, is this a parent? Is it a sibling? Is it a child? Like an adult child, I would hope, is hosting Thanksgiving. Um, is it a friend? Is it your partner's family? So like that's what someone else was asking, right? Or even like just your friend's family. Um, do they have the capacity to engage in that, right? Like, do they have the financial ability? Do they have the knowledge of like how to cook vegetarian? Like, I think that all of that also plays into it. Like the who, what, when, where, why
Yeah.
matters.
And what sort of relationship do you want with these people? Like, if you're just taking your elderly parent to see their siblings, so it's your aunts and uncles, uh, does it matter how long you're there and if you eat or don't eat? Maybe not. But if this
Yeah.
is like you want a good, strong relationship with folks, then having those conversations can sometimes strengthen that bond. Especially if they're responsive and handle it well.
And even like, we're making examples of different types of relationships here, but even there, like my uncle would absolutely create a meal that me and people that I love could eat way faster than my mother ever would. And so yeah, like it's all about who is that person to you? What relationship do you want to have with them? And like I think what's hard is especially right now, people are really ready for a fight on Thanksgiving. And so like that can create a lot of tension. And so like having the conversation early, like we know when this episode is going to come out, we're recording a little bit before that, but like we decided not to actually have this episode drop like the week of Thanksgiving so that folks could hear it early. Have the conversation the week or two before, even a little bit before that, while people are planning menus. Like people who do them big fucking Thanksgivings, they plan their menus like weeks in advance. See if you
Yeah.
can have the conversation then, and that might just ease it up a little bit, make it more um like make it flow easier and make it less stressful.
Yeah, and if your bigger holidays that you celebrate together are in like December or January, like this is a great time to start considering what you might want to say or ask about. It might be too close of a notice to use some of this stuff and make it happen by Thanksgiving if you celebrate, but you could at least start to get a feel for, okay, are they receptive to talking about allergies or certain sensitivities, and just start seeing.
Yeah, exactly. And then I think like in terms of the other types of so like those are food-based ones. And I know like especially cuz some of those are going to be if you cook with gluten in the same kitchen and you're not careful, it means that I can't eat anything that's here, right? Depending like how my gluten intolerance may or may not work. Um but like So there's that. But in terms of like, oh, like my food can't touch, or I don't like being watched while I eat, or misophonia, which fine,
We
I do have
understand. Yeah.
that. Like, which I know, but it's hard for me sometimes to accept. Asia all the time is like, you've got bat ears, and I'm like, no, I have people ears, and definitely it's both.
Yeah.
Like those I think can also be really hard because there's kind of an extra onus, I think, on self um to kind of handle, I think, a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, in some ways, like, that don't like to be watched while eating, if you're up for handling that yourself, you can eat before you go, and just let them know, I ate before I came. I'm not really as open as you wanna be. I'm not really into being watched while I eat, or I'd rather focus on the conversation, so ate before I came, or had a different obligation. Sorry about that, but the food looks great, and don't pressure yourself to have to eat while you're there.
Yeah, to kind of harken back to a previous episode about like competing needs, I will say if someone else showed up to my like big family meal thing where they were like, "Yeah, I don't like being watched eating, so like I'm not going to eat. I'm going to sit here." Now I feel very watched cuz like when everyone is eating, I
Mhm.
don't feel super watched. But if you're not eating and I am and we're sitting there, like that feels a lot more I'm
Yeah.
staring you down, you know?
Yeah, someone could also reach out ahead of time and be like, "What's the schedule? Do you all, like, gather and chat first, or is that,
Mm,
like, after the meal, you all sit and chat before dessert?" Or whatever it is to figure out, like, how should you time your your arrival as well.
yeah, definitely. I definitely know like coming in late or near dessert or like oh, I got to run an errand or things like that might be an option or even like if you like kids, go hang out with the kids.
Yeah,
Like just if you like them. If you don't like kids, don't go fucking hang out with the kids. But like they're usually going to be eating in like smaller bursts, not really sitting at the table. Like so either you can eat with them and they're not really going to be watching you, or um just go play with them kind of a thing, to have
yeah.
something to do. I'm sure the other adults will be very grateful that someone is keeping them busy. Um, I think in terms of like food can't touch, make your own plate.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it's a little more rare that the family events involve other people making your plate, but if that is kind of the norm, maybe it's your partner's family and that they're like, "That's just what we do," like people stand here and there, and those 2 people serve us up from all these dishes, like, okay, is there any workaround for that, or can I bring a special plate that has little
Mhm.
compartments on it, you know?
Yeah, and I think like that also goes back a little bit to like this is a really simple request. It does not harm anyone. It is not difficult or like I totally get if it's like you don't want people serving themselves because you don't want them taking a whole, like whatever. I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
But like if I bring my ribbit zoo pal plate,
Yeah?
like just respect that I'm trying to keep my foods from touching.
Yeah.
That like that doesn't. I think I struggle sometimes because I'm like I don't get why you have to make this a problem,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like it
and I
would
get
be
that people
easy.
do, but I don't get why.
Yeah. Yeah, and, if I know sometimes it's a respect thing, like, follow our family traditions because you respect us, but
But
is
I.
there
I don't
space
respect you if
to
you don't respect my
Right, like, is there
family needs.
space for all of us to feel respected and have a conversation? I'm not saying that you're not good at serving food or not good at making the food, I'm just saying that so I can receive it in a way I can eat it, I'm gonna have to have it separated a bit.
Yeah. I love that you're like gentle, kind. Yeah, can't there be respect? And I'm like, no, fuck that. I don't respect you. I'm not gonna respect you if you can't respect. Like,
That's fair, yeah.
especially if I pull up with my own moo moo zoo pal plate.
Yeah, you went to the trouble to find it, bring it, yeah, yeah.
Like, we're not playing that. Um,
And
yeah.
then
So I
the
think
yeah,
that's definitely one of those of like it's kind of a mix. Like, if you can plate your own food, obviously. If you can't, like a conversation, especially if this is like a relationship with someone that you know to disrespect this thing about you,
mhm,
um, come. that's where I get a little petty. I would show up with my own, like, um, oink oink zoo pal plate, um, like, already full up with food that I wanted to eat, like,
I
already
mean,
heated
that's an
everything. I
option,
don't
yeah.
need nothing from you. And so literally, you're gonna sit here and throw a hissy fit, but I'm gonna be sitting here eating my food. Like,
Yeah,
I'm the one being respectful. We will play this game if you must, kind of a thing. Put another plate of food down in front of me. I'm not gonna eat it, but you're welcome to,
yeah,
you know?
that's it's one way to do it, it is.
It's a very petty way to do it. Um, but yeah, I think
Uh,
the misophonia is the one that
yeah.
I struggle with a lot.
That one's so hard. Like, I've been lucky at family events that usually some sort of sports thing is on the TV, so at least there's some noise and some people are talking, but it's a hard one. Yeah.
So I can usually do people talking. I can do like TV running.
Mhm.
Um, it's mouth sounds for me. So it's the
Right.
actual eating. And like so my partner's mom is deaf. Um, particularly in one ear.
Mm.
And so she doesn't close her mouth when she chews because she can't hear if she closes her mouth while she chews.
Right.
Um, like, so
It
she just
sounds
can't
no
be part of the
different to her
conversation.
either way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, um, so she doesn't, and so none of the kids do,
Oh,
my partner
yeah.
or their siblings. And so every person chews with their mouth open,
Wow.
loud.
That would be hard even with some sports playing in the background. I don't
Oh
know if
my
I could.
God.
Yeah.
Like it, that first Thanksgiving was so hard. And like it's already hard enough, like just with my partner. Like we often have to make sure that we're sitting a good distance apart when we eat. Like I put in my loops. I have the like ones that will change so you can so I make the side that's closer to them like much more um like soundproofy, and then I
Yeah.
put the other side into the middle, and then we turn the TV up loud, and I try really hard to not focus on it. But at like family meals, it's really really hard. I put my earplugs in, which is also hard because then it is a little bit harder to be part of conversations. Um, but sometimes I'll like play a phone game to try to get my mind off of it, or like
Yeah.
it's kind of that balance of like I want to be with y'all, but this is like really viscerally painful for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard one to be able to accommodate and still be fully engaged in those scenarios, especially yeah. You know,
Yeah.
that some workarounds like asking folks to wait till to eat until like some background noise is going. It's hard if you're with like your partner's brand new, like you've never gone
Mhm.
before, this is their first time there. But hopefully you have a partner who also would support you in having the conversation beforehand,
Yeah.
you know?
Which I think is a conversation in itself, right? Like, hey, when we go to your parents, I I know that this is a hard thing, like, but I really do struggle at meal times with like this and that. Um, it would be more comfortable for me if you were to tell your mom because I don't really want that to be her first impression of me, or like
Right.
it'd be really helpful for me if you told your parent because like I'm really anxious about it. Or could we tell them together? Like those kind of conversations, I think planning how you're going to do it, or like what type of backup and support you're wanting and needing, I think is really helpful because like the really hard truth is that a lot of people presume that their parents would never be an asshole about it. But like sometimes your parents are assholes. Like
Yeah.
that's just true.
Yeah, and if you have that pre-conversation about it, then you can start actually discussing, well, what do we do about it? Do I sit in
Mhm.
a different room while we eat? Do I like take a lap around the block? Like what am I doing while food is happening? Should I just eat before we go? Should we show up late?
Mm.
What's the seating chart? Can I be away from most people and close to the TV or the speakers for music or whatever the scenario is?
Yeah. I think all of those are really good ideas, and I think it's just about your own kind of comfort level.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever's gonna work best for you.
Mhm. Exactly. Yeah. But it is hard, and I think like for a lot of folks it can be very anxiety inducing to like oh, like they don't know me or they're going to get upset or I don't want to be needy or like all of those types of things come out. And it's like, those things might be true. But again, like that's where I go back to like, so maybe they're not the people you spend a holiday with.
Yeah. Yeah, all good information for planning future events and what that looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and then our next question is a little more on, I mean, it could be related to that. How do we cope with crappy comments from our parents and relatives? So it could be about our like sensory needs, but it also could just be,
Body comments.
yeah, body comments is where my brain went to. Yeah.
Yeah, and like body comments meaning like size or like
Are you getting
queerness
another
or transness,
helping?
mhm,
Uh-huh.
disability, like there's so many types of body comments.
Yeah, and this could also be comments like, "Oh, you're still working there?
Mhm.
Oh, you and so broke up? Oh, your kid is flunking?" This could be all sorts of comments that are just like, Why? It's not supportive."
Yeah. How do you usually like, because I think we probably as therapists have
Mhm.
the folks who have the family member saying these things, less of the actual family members who are saying them. Though, I definitely know that some of those folks are somebody's client. Um, but where are you usually starting on those types of comments?
I'll be honest, a lot of my adult clients no longer go to family holidays
Mhm.
because of things like this. After 20, 30 plus years of that, they don't want to deal with it anymore and have tried to set boundaries or say that they don't like that. And maybe the behavior changes briefly and then it switches back. So it's usually with my teen clients that we're talking
Mm,
about what can we do to make it through family mealtime, especially during the holidays where it's extended family.
yeah. I That's interesting because I definitely have like um some folks who kind of will do that, but I definitely also have some folks who are like, it's really important to me and I want to be able to have this
Yeah.
experience. And that balance can be hard because like with teens and kids, it's like, oh yeah, I don't have a choice, so I have to problem solve this. But for adults, like I think that there can even be a level of like, why would I keep putting up with this? But
Yeah.
also, I really want this experience.
Yeah, yeah, and sometimes, like, the family like, just the guilt of it, like, "Well, I'm gonna be the only one not
Mm.
going," or, "If I don't go, then my sibling's gonna get all the bad comments instead, so at least if I'm there, we can share them or commiserate."
Or what if it's grandma's last Christmas? Like,
Uh,
I only have so much time left with XYZ family member, and I don't want to lose out on those experiences. Can all be
I
things
do
happen.
have for that, I do have some specific stuff
Mm,
that I usually give. For the I don't wanna miss out with a certain relative because it might be their last, they're nearing the end, whatever the whatever it is. Um, Also, a lot of folks that well, not a lot, but a handful of folks I work with have relatives who are showing signs of cognitive decline and dementia.
mm,
So then they're also like, well, what if it's the last one they remember or the last
mm,
one we can do things together at? My recommendation is carve out your own time with that specific person.
yeah.
So if you want a Christmas thing, maybe it's not Christmas Day, but you've carved out some time around Christmas where the atmosphere is similar and the environment is pretty similar to what you're hoping for. And you do it early or you do it late.
Yeah, and especially for holidays that have a lot of, like, atmosphere that is other people's decorations,
Yeah.
do it early. Like, there have been, down the street from me, my neighbors have had Halloween decorations up and, like, posted for weeks now, and it is currently October 19th. People will do this early, and so it's possible to get that atmosphere before, in a way that, like, I think sometimes people will kind of really quickly snap up and start closing up shop, after the holidays. So if the atmosphere is important to you, try to get on the books early.
Yeah. Yeah, I think mindfully making those moments instead of forcing yourself to go to like an uncomfortable luncheon or dinner or brunch or whatever makes way more sense because the memories you have of that uncomfortable event are not going to compete with the memories you'd have one-on-one with that person doing something you planned and you put thought into.
Yeah, exactly. I think in terms of like for adults who are trying to figure out like I want to go and I want to do this, like remembering that a boundary is not you asking them not to say it. Like that's
Yeah.
not actually how the boundary works. So that's a request and it's totally reasonable. Like I'm all for making the request. People can't know what you want from them without you telling them. Um but I think if you make the request and there's pushback, or if you make the request and then like it's not, they say yes and then they act no, right?
Um,
Knowing what your boundary is before hand can be really helpful. And a boundary is a behavior,
mm,
right? So are you going to leave the room? Are you going to say, hey, I had asked you for no body comments, and so just to let you know, like if it continues I will be going home?
yeah.
Are you going to express how it made you feel, right? What will be your responsive behavior to their action is how you determine what your boundary is. And so like yes, other people can like attempt to cross our boundaries, they can decline our requests, they can like do all this stuff, but like at the end of the day, a boundary is a behavior on your end.
Mm,
So what is it? And I think that there's kind of a like sit down and script it.
yeah.
What are
Yeah,
you going to
be
say back? What are you going to do instead? Like, is this a I'm going to go to the restroom and splash some water on my face? I'm going to get really involved in the conversation with my partner, my friend who I brought along. Like, what's the plan? And then you can go from there.
yeah. I think almost everything we're talking about today, the answer is prepare for it.
Mhm.
Prepare for it, kind of know what you're going to do, which also takes a lot of the anxiety and unknown out of it. Because you
Yeah.
could sit there worried, like, worst case scenario, what if so and so says this about me or asks about this? Well, let's come up with a plan because it might happen. If you're that worried about it, it might happen.
Yeah. And one thing I will say, because I work with folks and I'm a big fan of the cope ahead, the plan, the prepare, like all of that, is we also don't want that to morph into an anxiety itself, right? And like holding on
Yeah,
to those thoughts and like ruminations. And so making sure that it's okay, I made my plan, now I'm done.
yeah,
And every time that it comes up in my head, I'm going to go, actually, I already have a plan for that. And I'm going to refocus on something in the moment
yeah.
so that it doesn't become that rumination.
Yeah, you really don't need a plan A, B, C, D.
Right.
Get your plan A, and then maybe plan B is we just leave the event.
Right.
And then you've got your backup.
Exactly. Or like plan A is I'm gonna handle it myself. Plan B is I'm gonna ask my main support person who I know will respect me, and plan C is we leave. Like whatever
Mhm,
kind of feels good. But once you make that plan, practice it in your head a minute, like
mhm.
feel the body sensations of it, do the whole thing, and then be done.
Yep. Yeah, and it says, what about for teens and kids who can't leave maybe? That
Mhm.
is hard. In the therapist role, usually I'm working with guardians to say, okay, we're working towards our goals to reduce your kids' anxiety or increase their self-confidence. This will be really helpful during this holiday if you can support them in XYZ, whatever I've planned with the teen or kid, whatever they
Mhm.
feel comfortable enough to do. It's none of them feel 100% comfortable the first time we discuss setting a boundary, but like comfortable enough that if they had some support from at least one guardian, they could
It's
say or do
realistic.
that thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the answer usually is that they can't actually physically leave. But
Mhm.
sometimes when you get the guardians on board, if they're not the ones saying or doing the hurtful thing, then they can go, actually, we can leave. I'll just drive us away if that's what needs to happen.
Exactly. And like I think if you're working with a teen or if you are a teen who like would have trouble with that, like really make sure, okay, let me actually split this out. If you are a teen, make sure that like you are able to ask your therapist, "Hey, I want your help with this to talk to my parents." Like it sucks, but the white lab coat effect is real and parents will absolutely listen to me as a therapist way more than they will their kid, which like is ridiculous. I'm just saying the same fucking shit your kid just said. It's not even my body, so like you should absolutely be listening to them. But even like when I was a teenager, people would listen to my mom over me all the time. And like let me just tell you, that shit blows my mind sometimes. And so don't be afraid to ask your therapist, like, hey, I'd really like us to have, can we pull in my parent, my guardian, my adult, and have this conversation together? Or even like, here is what I'm comfortable with you sharing. Can you just call them or check in with them at the end of my session or whatever, and have this conversation without me even in the room? Like, can you just help them to understand? And then if you're working with teens, make sure that you're offering that option. That you're saying like, hey, teen, like, hey, we just talked about all these things. Would you like any help talking to your parent about this? Like, do you want to try it on your own? And then if they're not responsive or da 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 da, like, I'm happy to kind of play backup, like, all the good autonomy things, but making sure that if we can get the parent on the kid's side, a lot changes, because like then the kid can leave.
Yeah, the parent usually has
Or
more power.
exactly. I think the other part is like, if they're in your house,
Yeah.
that of course makes leaving difficult. So like, if you're the parent, or if you're working with the parent, right, and you can get them on the side, like, can you have a friend's house as a backup place to go be
Mhm.
if there are safer people at that friend's house? You know,
Yeah.
can you also let your family members know, like, you will not be invited back next year? Like, I'm not going to kick you out into the cold on this holiday. So I would respect you if you did. Um, but I'm not going to. And like, this is not, I'm not willing to repeat this pattern. And
Yeah.
and you will not be invited back if you cannot be respectful to all of the members of my home.
Right, or, even can the teen or kid go to their room to escape, like, it's not one of these all or nothing, everybody's at the table the whole time for the event, like,
Hmm.
whatever we can do to move the guardian to be supportive and help set some boundaries is really helpful, and
Yeah,
I
if you
suppose.
live
Yeah, go ahead.
in a safe enough place, like, I used to take a lot of just walks. Like, I would just like walk out of my house and just walk around my neighborhood, um, just to kind of get some space from things.
Yeah. Yeah, and, if you are a teen listening to this and you're like, "I don't have a therapist," school counselor, teacher, like, is there some trusted adult that knows a little bit of what you're going through that would help mediate or have that conversation with your guardians? Yeah.
Your sports ball coach, your
Yeah.
theater teacher, your music teacher, like, these are often some, um, English
From
teacher. I
the
think we all have that
church.
one English teacher. Yep, someone at the
Yeah.
church, someone in your faith community, somebody, one of your friends' parents.
Yeah.
Like, if you're like, "Oh my god, I wish my mom was like Lisa's mom." Okay, can you go ask Lisa's mom to, like, help you out with this? Like, that might be someone who's really cool and willing to talk to you and help you with this. Like, anyone that you can turn to, an ally on your behalf,
Yeah. Which
is worth
might even be one of those extended relatives, it
it.
could
Mhm.
be aunt, uncle, grandma, grandpa, somebody else who is like, "Yeah, I I know
Older
your
cousin.
parents can be that way, and we'll see if I can help you instead of them, or I'll help you talk to them about it to see if they will support you."
Yeah, definitely. I also think, like, it's really hard to be like, "I'm willing to get in trouble for this." But
Yeah,
depending on what you know about your parents', punishment or consequences or whatever the fuck they call it, right?
yeah,
Like, figuring out, like, is it maybe worth it? And it might be sometimes, and it might not be others. Like, um, I think if I were forced to hug, like, a person, I would rather have Xbox taken away for a week, personally, for myself, right, than do that. Now,
yeah,
I don't know if I asked teenage me if that's how I would have felt then, but, like, I think kind of figuring out, like, am I okay with facing a consequence in order to keep a level of bodily autonomy? Maybe, maybe not. Um, it might be that, like, once things cool down, and I think what we forget a lot with teens and kids is that, like, a lot of the time it's the parents are not supportive because they're under a lot of stress too. It's the, like, my mom's gonna judge me for how I'm momming. My dad's gonna judge me for how I'm momming or dadding. Like, my parent is gonna be in a judgment role of my own parenting. My sibling, my partners, whatever, like, my whatever in law is going to be judging, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like, well, I have to be able to be in control, quote unquote, of my kid. I need to be this, that, and the third so that they can see how good of a parent I am. And
Yeah.
once that stressor is away, sometimes they can become more reasonable. You know your parent better than I do. So, like, take that all into account. But, like, that I think sometimes gets a little bit lost. And especially for therapists working with the parents, like, helping them to identify where that is coming from, like where those should statements and things like that. I had a colleague who used to call it the tyranny of the shoulds, right?
Mm,
Like, where is that tyranny coming in and how are you passing it down and along?
yeah. Yeah, it's a good question. And I suppose if all else fails, there is nothing wrong with saying you're sick that day and can't do it. Can't come down, can't go to that house, can't interact, can't hug, you might get somebody sick. They
Mm,
don't have to know that it's just a mental health not feeling well day, you know? Like
mhm.
it is just as valid as a physical illness. So,
And can sometimes lead there. Like, stress
mhm.
makes
Yeah,
it harder for our bodies to fight off physical illness. And so sometimes it's like, you know, I'm trying to reduce my like, I wouldn't necessarily say it, but, like, you can say, like, "I'm not feeling well, I'm not up for it. Cough,
yeah.
cough, I'm stuck in my room."
I don't want to get more sick, don't want to get anybody else sick. Yep.
Exactly.
Because sometimes, especially for teens and kids, that's the only power you really have, you know, is the threat of looming illness for other people. Like, yeah, hopefully you're not stuck in that situation if you're listening. But if you
Yeah.
are, nothing wrong with saying you're sick and can't make it.
I also am a really big fan, both for, like, teens, kids, and for adults, of, like, lots of questions. "Oh
Yeah.
my god, you gained so much weight. Oh, no." "What do you mean? What does that mean? Why did you say that? Why are
Yeah.
you saying, 'Oh, no'? I don't understand." Like, just, like, complete ham-fisted,
Yeah.
like,
Why is
ignorance.
that funny?
Why
Yeah.
is that funny? Like,
I don't think I get
"Oh,
it.
you're
What's the
gonna be
point?
a real charmer. All the boys will love you." What are boys? Why would I want them to want me? What does that mean? What do you want me to be doing with them? Like, just make it uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Um, and just, like, asking over and over and over, and, "Why do you want me to hug you? Why is it important that your body touches my body?"
Hmm.
Like, as uncomfortable as you can make it. Now it's gonna, like, you gonna be uncomfortable too, but it can sometimes make things enough that, like, someone will try to break the tension and it will, like, dissipate and move along, or, like, whatever kind of thing. Again, like, your family may or may not be upset by it, but, um, if you can get away with just really playing the, like, "I do not understand."
Yeah. It also might reduce the repeat invites, so it may have a
Yeah.
collateral effect where you don't really have to go again. Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, gosh, I know we've covered a lot. I think on the bonus content, we'll be talking about what you do with political differences, differing
Mhm.
interests and views. We'll talk about maybe some like disordered eating stuff and how you navigate that during family mealtime. So we hope to see you all over there. We've got new episodes coming weekly on Tuesdays, as always. You can find me at cryptidlearns.com or on social media at cryptidlearns, and Sabrina over at radicalinsightsconsulting.com or on Facebook and Instagram at Radical Insights Consulting.
If you have any questions for us, visit neurokink.org/AUIS and send it our way. We're going to jump over to that Patreon now and record Upping the Ante, our exclusive and free bonus content. And that's over at patreon.com/Aces Up Your Sleeve podcast. We're excited to see you there.